Tonight we want to really just dive right into our topic, and the whole topic is about how to be confident in your space, in your own skin. And we often hear "fake it till you make it" is one of the things that we tend to sometimes have discussions among our friends or peers whenever you're in an uncomfortable situation. So I'm going to play this video clip. Do mind you just have a little bit of swearing inside of it, so no offense to anyone, but I just want to just kind of highlight exactly what we're going to talk about. Listen to the video, give your feedback, and we'll basically go from there. All right. So let me just cue up this video real quick.
Confidence comes from comfortability with yourself in every situation, no matter what. So what I do to this day is I put myself in situations where I know I'm going to feel self-conscious and I know I'm going to feel uncomfortable, and I pretend like it's comfortable until it feels like it is. For example, I used to have bad cystic acne. My face, my neck, my back, my shoulders, everywhere. I would wear makeup at sleepovers. I would wear it to practice at 6 a.m. I would wear it literally everywhere. I would Facetune the fuck out of my body because I hated it that much. And eventually I got to the point where I was like, this is fucking ridiculous. So what I started doing was I stopped wearing makeup in front of my friends. I stopped wearing it to the grocery store. I stopped wearing it to the gas station and pretended like I was comfortable, even though I was fucking shaking in my boots. And I kept doing that until it felt comfortable, until it felt like my reality, until it felt completely normal. I had a lot of people say, well, I don't want to be a fake person. That's fake energy. It's not. You're manifesting. You're putting yourself at a level you want to be at until it becomes your reality.
All right, there you have it. So the question posed to this person is basically, how do you fake confidence? And I know many of you obviously have been in social settings, whether it's social functions and your career. Sometimes is intimidating, or sometimes it might be outside of your norm. So I just want to pose a question: is it okay, or do you think it's necessary to fake it till you make it, or have fake confidence just to fit in a certain social setting? So I'm going to start with Joel with this conversation here, because I know obviously you talked about your business, and you obviously deal with people on a day-to-day basis. So do you find yourself in a situation where, do you have to fake it? Just give us your reaction to the video that was played, and obviously your personal experience. Go right ahead.
I do believe that there's an element of fake it till you make it that is required for you to feel, believe, and act as if what you want to accomplish is possible. Um, the word fake it to me, obviously, we all know fake is not real. And we think about the concept of faking something. Um, there's an element that is like, there's an element of that word fake that I don't necessarily, align myself to, but I do believe that you have to act and believe that what it is that you want to accomplish is possible, even if you don't have that thing, even if that thing that you want to possess is not there. And like I'll give you a tangible example from my personal experience. I've been in the IT world for the past 10 and a half years. And I remember when I started in the IT world, I was just coming out of college, and I had to pay back my loans, my student loans, right? So didn't really have a lot of money. So I needed a job, like really, really bad, just to pay back some student loans and stuff. And I remember I stepped into the interview for this job to get into the IT field. Didn't really think I qualified for it because I was just about to graduate. I didn't fully graduate. I wasn't fully, acquainted with some of the things that I need to be acquainted with. All the accreditation didn't really have any of that. But I walked into that interview room with the utmost confidence, and what was supposed to be a 20-minute interview turned into an hour and a half conversation with the person who I was interviewing. And we didn't even have an interview. There was no test. There was nothing. The person just said, "Man, I liked you. I believe in you. Something about you." We talked about sports. We talked about things that was relevant, and it was just an easy conversation. And I didn't fake it, but I definitely acted upon my instincts of just creating relationships and believing that this is something that I want to do. And 10 years later, I've moved up the ranks and I've become, one of the senior members of the team. And that's something that started off by me just believing that I have what it takes. So yeah, I do believe there's an element of like fake it till you make it, but don't fake it, be it, right? That's what it is.
Beautiful, beautiful. Anyone else want to jump in?
I will. I actually really like what Joel said, that there's an element of faking it, but I wouldn't align myself with the word fake either, for the simple fact that it really is a confidence thing. Just knowing you're showing up as yourself and being confident in who you are. And I believe that's probably why you had a 30-minute conversation. Like you were comfortable, you're comfortable in your own skin, you didn't go as someone else, you went as Joel. So um, I seen a quote online that said, faith it till you make it. And I thought that was really interesting because faith is the substance of things hoped for that's not seen, right? So you may not be there yet, but you can definitely faith it until you see it, until it manifests itself in your life. For me, a good example is I started a legal firm right out of COVID, and I had graduated like a couple months before. And that was, I started it only because they weren't hiring. Nobody was hiring anywhere. And I was just like, okay, well, I guess I got to make my own path, right? So I started out with not much, I guess, corporate experience within the law firm, but I mean, I was licensed. To be a licensed paralegal, you have to do your exam, right? So I obviously had the knowledge of it, but there's so much things that you learn in school that's different from the real world when you actually get in practice. It's very, very different. So there is an element of faithing it till you make it. I remember my first time in court. Yeah, it wasn't exactly like how it was in school. It was very different. I learned being in the actual court, and then I had to switch it up and learn on the fly with it being on Zoom and with my client beside me. So there is an element of just really faithing it until, and thank God I made it through. We praise God for that. But it was so nerve wracking, but I had to just come in with the knowledge that I knew and the confidence that I have because I know I can do this. I know I'm called to this field. I know my stuff. Um, but yeah, there's just a level of confidence you just have to go in with until like you reach there. But I wouldn't necessarily call it faking it. I really like that quote, faith it till you make it. Because you'll eventually get there, but the elements might not always be there like right away. But I think confidence is the underlying piece to really make like getting there and making it, if that makes sense.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Free free to join in. Anyone else want to go next?
100%. Just to add to what Janique Joel said, and for us, for those of us who are in the sales business, it's really about that confidence. And I don't like the fake it till you make it. I love the faith it till you make it. Back to what Janique is saying, but also I prefer the words get comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Come on.
If you're in the sales business, I know Kenneth, you're in the sales business. I met you a couple of times. We met at, we I saw you at Staples a few weeks ago.
Yes, I remember now. Staples, yeah.
So yes, for those of us in the sales space, we know what it means to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. So it's kind of like a synonym to fake it till you make it. So I 100% agree with that. But I'd go with fake it, faith it till you make it.
Love it.
Go ahead, Kenneth.
Well, everyone's. I don't want to repeat any. I don't want to repeat. I want to repeat. Yeah, but there's an element, and people know when you're not being real. You know, people. Like, a lot of people have a natural or unnatural a spirit of this of discernment, right? And they can tell if you're just faking it. You know what I mean? So I think it's quite dangerous to ever put yourself in a situation where you're presenting something that you're not. You know what I mean? And I think there's differences, right? So the lady that was in the first video, she was insecure, I guess, about her physical outlook, right? So I don't really call her example they're faking it. I call her example of not caring what other people think about her and having confidence in herself. You know what I mean? And I think that the ability for someone to be confident in themselves and not care about other people's opinions when they can she can't help her body, she can't help her size of any, you know, she can't help anything that God gave her, right? So at the end of the day, her ability to be absolute with how God made her is what she needs to do. And you know what I mean? Even though, you know, and then after it comes down to business, like I think many people actually do it the wrong way. They actually fake it, act like they know something. And people know you don't know anything, and then they get written off. You know, so I think that many people are better aligned to partnering with someone that does know it, and kind of drinking humble pie a little bit, and then kind of learning beside a mentor or a person. So there's no need to fake it, and then turning your weakness into a strength. So the girls on my real estate team, for example, Latoya, that pin hint, you know, on my real estate team, they don't know anything. Like they're brand new. You know what I mean? They actually don't know anything. They're super brand new. So they're afraid to go on a listing presentation and try to compete against top realtors. So what I told them was, listen, you turn your weakness into your strength. So they say, listen, my name is Latoya. I could be here by myself, but hey, I partnered up with Kenneth because you know he's been there. He has the stats, he has the reviews, he has the all the awards or whatnot, and I just want to make sure I'm providing you the best possible customer service. And the girls on my team are going out there saying that, and we're picking up listings right now. But the clients are looking at them like, you know what? I like you because you're real, and I like you because you care about me enough to leverage someone with experience. And now we go in there together and we do well. So that's my answer.
No, no, appreciate that. Appreciate that. You know, we can look at this on a different angle as well. You know, sometimes we tell folks to keep it real, and when you keep it too real, sometimes it becomes maybe you're something else. There's a criticism that comes behind it. So there's like a fine line sometimes you have to walk where absolutely you're not going to fake it, but at the same time there's a balance that you have to also exercise where someone that you meet for the first time, they might not meet the real you, right? Because there is there's a tendency, all of us have a tendency to show the best side as a first impression, right? But we all have flaws, right? We all have things we have to work on, but at the same time, from your perspective, and this is a question for everyone, how do you tread lightly, in terms of you're meeting someone for the first time, whether it's a client, whether it's someone probably want to go on a date. How do you tread lightly in terms of presenting yourself in the most authentic way versus, trying to paint one picture, which is you wanting to attract maybe the ideal client or the ideal person, but at the same time, you don't want to come across fake. How do you navigate those two things at the same time?
For me in my industry, I would say use wisdom, because with some of my clients, I can be very candid and open with them. And with others, you do have to tread lightly. So I get exactly what you're saying. But my answer to that would be to use wisdom and to feel out, I guess, the person or the client to see how real, I guess, you could be. Or not. I don't want to say fake, but I mean not revealing everything and laying all your cards out on the table. You know what I'm saying? That makes
But is the word fake throwing everyone off when you use the word fake? Because there's so many ways to skin a cat, right? You can say fake. You can say, well, just play the part, play a role. They're all kind of. Sometimes you can plug in the word fake. You can change it up here and there. Like an actor, for example, are they fake? When Denzel come on camera, is he fake? yes, he's acting, he's playing a part, he's playing a character, but is that the real person in the real world? My point is, do we have different maybe personality trait where sometimes we have to sometimes put a bit of um I don't want to say fake, but a certain type of character,
Yeah. So
so you get certain type of results, so to speak.
yeah, so I'll chime in there. So, for example, there's something called that I use. You can Google it. It's like a DISC personality test, right? So D stands for dominant, I stands for inspirational, stands for supportive, C stands for calculative. The minute I learned that, my sales jumped probably by double. You know what I mean? There are some people that are just dominant. They're result based. You're right. You know what I mean? When you're working with them and let's say you're a salesperson, like me, I'm D. I don't have to like you to work with you. If you're the best stockbroker in New York and I move to New York, okay, cool. You know what I mean? I don't need to like you just to get the job done, result based. S type people are more emotional, they're more feeling based. It's like you can't just walk into the house and say, I'm the number one realtor, I sell the homes the fastest, most amount of money, hire me. They're like, you don't know about my family, about my kids. You ask me how my day was. I don't like you. And because of that, I'm not going to work with you. You know what I mean? Some people are just inspirational, like they're very people. You walk into the meeting and they're, hey man, you want a beer? I'm just like, the ball game's on. You're like, okay, cool. I guess we're doing this, right? And then you have people who are calculative. They're very risk adverse. So I think that, not I think, there are definitely personality traits. And I personally, and until I, so I'm an ID personality trait. So I score -13 for emotional, for feelings based emotions, and for being low risk and fear based and being detail orientated, I score the lowest as well. So those were my blind spot, especially with the S types, with the women, right? So, well, most women are more S types. So the idea is um, I was never able to get that profile. And 40% of people actually have an S type profile in them. So I was never able to get that as a client. But the minute I understood how to communicate different to that audience, then I was able to get that sale. If I'm talking to an engineer or Elon Musk, they want to know every single step of how I'm going to stage, what day I'm going to stage, what this photo's going to be, how long it's going to take. They need to know all the information. So I started to cater my presentation. I definitely catered my presentation to different people. If I meet a person who is an S, a D, or whatever, I definitely switch it up. I cater to them. I'm still me as Kenneth Toppin, but I definitely will cater to the audience 100%.
Love that
Okay.
answer.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's great.
Very well said. And I just wanted to offer just a bit of an example when I'm hearing the different conversation that's coming through. What's coming to me is the phrase "dress for the job that you want." So say I'm a person who maybe I'm low income. I don't have the things to have the fancy car, the clothes, the things that will attract maybe top clients that I'm looking to attract. Should I be taking out credit cards? Is that faking it till I make it? Should I be going out and even though I don't have it, trying to attain the fancy clothes, the cars, taking clients out on fancy dinners, even though I'm not there yet, just so I can manifest that? Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
Well, I think there's a bit of wisdom that's required in that example, where perhaps you're making decisions that are going to put you in positions where you might regret it later. I really believe in parables, and I grew up in a household where Caribbean people spoke in a lot of parables and similes and such. And there's one I remember hearing, which is a Guyanese parable. It says, "Don't put your hat where your hands can't reach," right? Which basically means, when there's something that you absolutely, when you have to make a decision, be careful of the decision you're making, because when you need that very same thing, or when you need to get somewhere, um, but you can't reach the hat, you'll find yourself in trouble. And this is probably where surrounding yourself with people who are smarter than you, or people who are on the same level as you comes in, because we can't you know, there's there's a there's layers to this thing called making it, and you don't just make it by yourself. And you have to have people around you. You have to be able to work with people. Sometimes people who are way better than you, and you're gonna take risk. Those risks can be considered as faking it, but it has to be calculated risk, um, to help you achieve the outcomes. And having those people around you is another layer to help you to get to that next level. So that's how I see it. Yeah, you can make those decisions, but just know you might be putting your hats where your hands can't reach.
Very well said. Very well said. Any other thoughts before we move on?
Well,
No,
bottom
no,
line, you have to be yourself. You have to be yourself because everyone else is taken, right?
Right.
And I went to a seminar a couple weeks ago, and the guy talked about personality types. He talked about the technical guy. He talked about the action guy. He talked about the relationship guy. And back to Kenneth's top point, it's we try to sell based on our personality types. Like for me personally, I sell on my personality types. But the minute, and we all have these personality within us, but there's a dominant personality that comes out. And I find once we can assess the guy that we're going to, if we can talk to him based on his personality, then we're on our way. But bottom line, you have to be yourself. You have to be yourself.
Yeah, Janik, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I was just gonna piggyback off of what both of you guys said. It is you being yourself, but there is a level of what Luita was asking. Um, there is a level of wisdom that you do have to use, because I know for me, my industry, sometimes, believe it or not, based on how I appear, I can get clients that way. And not because I'm a woman, even for men too. Just the way you are dressed in certain industries and certain things, you can pull a certain kind of client. But would I go overly in debt over it? Absolutely not. But there is a level of playing the part to attract what you want. And I think not only for my industry, but I think for business in general, I think that can go across the board, to be quite honest.
So, so in our community, obviously, and a lot of times, we're known to be flashy. We're all about style and the way we dress and the way we project ourselves, whether it's through media. And you see a lot through hip hop, and you see mainly entertainment, especially with our people. You see a lot of time we dress a certain way, and we often look at the way they dress and act, and we think that's confidence. But then you hear stories that comes out about how they're struggling with different issues, whether it's depression or various type of problem. So my question would be to everyone, how do we, also use the things that we can control, which is our dress, the way we carry ourselves. How can we use that as a way to project a certain messages to the world? Because as you guys know, you guys are obviously in a professional industry, and how does your the way you carry yourself impact how people find you guys, whether you come across confident or whether you come across intimidating? Because you hear it oftentimes, women might go on a date sometime and say, well, this guy, he's intimidated, I intimidated him, right? Maybe because the way you said certain things, the way you carry yourself. So my question is, how do you guys use the way you dress and the way you talk, and so to exude confidence?
Well, first of all, can we make note of the color coordination the ladies are wearing? It's all red. I don't know if this was planned or not, but that's really cool.
I actually noticed that some minutes ago, and I was like, "Yes, ladies, we came to show up, right? We're showing up. It's Christmas,
Okay.
so of course,
The bag.
great minds think alike."
That's
I know
right.
Kenneth is out there in the real estate field. He's always dressing with suits. How do you answer that question, Kenneth?
What's interesting, 'cause I have a team of like all women, right? And it's funny because we were having conversations about addressing this recently, right? And And I'm not sure if I'm getting. What's the exact question again? Sorry, what's the exact question again?
The
Like the
question
exact,
is, how does the dressing, the way that you carry yourself, how does it impact,
right?
you know,
Yeah.
the respect level that you get out there?
Exactly. So, for example, um, what I was telling my team, right, based on who I am, right, I know when to overcompensate, undercompensate, just based off of logic. So, for example, it would be very easy for people to think that I don't really wear any jewelry, I don't wear any chains on my social media. I don't really like post my car too often because it's not that I can't, but it's the fact that I have to be very wise because based on who I am, it's very easy for the public to say, okay, this guy thinks X about himself. I could wear Jordans, backwards hats, all these things. You could do it, right? But at the same time, as a younger, well, as a black male, right, you have to be very wise about how you do things. So, for example, the number one Italian realtor, like this, dominates up in Vaughn. He's always blasting hip hop music in his videos. He's always in jeans and whatever, and he's that cool guy. But a young black guy does it, and now it's just viewed differently. So I'm very conscious over how I appear, how I dress, because I know that if you're going to be successful as a young black entrepreneur in Canada, we're not the States, we're in Canada. Our population isn't high enough to literally let us ride with our community all the way through. So the number one Chinese realtor that I went to, for example, on his IG page is in Chinese, right? The number one Irene, like a guy from Iran, his page is in their native language. That just tells you that they can literally rock with their own people, but black people cannot do that. So at the end of the day, I have to say I'm going to have to cater, and my clientele is about 50-50, right? It's about maybe even 60-40 black, 60% other cultures. So I know that I'm going to present in a wise way. So they're just looking at me in the highest light possible. So that's why I'm usually in a suit, right? As for the women on my team, like I make these jokes, but I'm not really joking. But I say things like, if I ever see you guys post a video where you put the IG camera here, you turn your back away from it, so you're showing your ass, and then after you walk away and turn back talking about women power, like you're an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, don't do these things. You look foolish. And when it comes down to like how you're appearing, I say like your best trait is your mind. You're all smart women. So I said lead with it. Like lead with your brain, like not with your sexuality. So I don't need you guys. And now that you're on my team and I have a certain brand, we are educated, sophisticated team, and you guys are smart, intellectual women. You don't have to lead with your body. You don't have to lead with your sexuality. So dress appropriately. But no, you're not putting a mic down your chest, opening up, talking about real estate. What are you doing? This is stupid, right? So, so I can go on forever. So this is my thoughts. So you know what I mean? And then yes, can it attract a clientele? Yes. Do you want that clientele? No. You know, if you need to, you know what I mean? So, and men know that as yes. So I think that how you present, how you carry, people will also respect you a lot as well, and it goes a long way.
But let me chime in here for a second, and I know I'm gonna let the ladies
When I
go
talk,
ahead.
I throw daggers sometimes. I go for war.
But I would say this, right? Every
Violence.
one of us has an advantage. Women have an advantage, men have an advantage, right? And what I tend to do see, and this is not just real estate, this is all industry. We all play to our strengths. You know what I'm saying? So for example, Kenneth, you're probably like almost 7 feet, right? So you play to that strength, right? You know, you step in a room, there's a certain presence that you may have because of the height, right? So that is something that you conscious of, right? So you will use that to your advantage, right? For example,
No, how do I do that? I just walk. I just
no, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's not that you born that way. That's just you genetically. But I'm
yeah.
saying compare you to maybe someone else who might be a little shorter, right?
Okay.
He might have a strength in different area, right? For you, you probably come across a little more
Assertive.
in a different way compared to someone that's more smaller in frame, right? Let's say for the females, right? You go to the gym, you do your thing, you working out, you looking good. You're gonna play to your strengths. You know, make sure the dress look good. The jewelry, the hair, the shoes, everything, looks good. So you play to that strength. So at the same time, by just instinct, we're gonna naturally, by default, go to some of these natural things that we know people are going to obviously gravitate to, right? You know, I see, obviously we all on Instagram, and we see some of the things, some of the IG posts from some of the real estater on the female side. They play to their strengths. We know what those strengths are, right? I mean, it comes across confident, right? It comes across very much, she knows what she's doing and she's using that to the strength. So my question to the ladies, when do you be conscious of, yes, I'm a woman in this industry and there's certain things I can use as an advantage. How do you balance that line to make sure that it doesn't come across overly one way versus the other way, if you know what I mean? So go ahead.
You have to strike a balance. There is, yeah, you're right. You play on your strengths, but also it could also looking from somebody else looking in, like you're going into a family's house with a husband and a wife. They're gonna check your Instagram page. You're gonna check your WhatsApp page. So I remember years ago, I had a picture up on WhatsApp. I was in my bikini, and I realized, you know what? People, we're in the space of social media. People now check you out before you even walk into their homes. They're checking you out before you even on LinkedIn. You go for a job interview, they already checked you out. They already know what you did yesterday. So you have to strike a balance. So if you know you're in that space, you have your strengths. Those are your strengths, and those are natural. They're a natural part of your body. You can't do anything about it. But you have to kind of tone it down, because now you're walking into a house with a husband and a wife. That wife is not going to want you coming in into her home. So you have to know how to kind of tone it down, strike that balance, and because we're here for business. We're not here to flaunt and show off. We're here for business. So we have to strike the balance between what we're going to do, what we're here for, and not stepping on anybody's toes.
Yeah, Unique, do you agree with that sentiment? Tone it down.
Yes and no. The simple fact that I don't dim my light for anybody. But at the same time, you can check out my Instagram. You're not going to see any boobage. You're not going to see any booty pics. But I'm 100% going to be me. Whether I go to the gym, it's literally who I am personally. I can't speak for anybody else. But that's just me. I'm very fashion forward. And that's just what you're always going to get. In the sense of toning it down, I get that. Like, you're not going to wear a mini skirt. You're meeting a male client, certain things. You got to use wisdom when it comes to those things. But I wouldn't necessarily, I know that's not what you meant at all, Kayan, but I wouldn't necessarily dim who you are. But it goes back to that confidence piece. Again, for me in my industry, I think just based on appearance and how I carry myself, people want someone who is confident. So that means you're going to be confident in handling their case. You're going to be confident in doing work for them, right? So it's very much aligned and attached. I think it is important. But I don't know about you guys, but I think that you really could tell someone who wears the name brand and all these things, but maybe like they don't necessarily exude confidence. I don't think it's necessarily only what you wear. I think it's how you carry yourself. I think it goes very much hand in hand. And back to what you were saying, Kian, like in business, you really do got to watch what you're doing. You can't have the bikini pics up, even though it's innocent, like it's your WhatsApp, you can do whatever you want, but you do have to be cognizant of what you're putting out there when you're in business, point blank, period.
Okay.
And let me just jump in quickly. And Janique too, because you're in a different space, right? You're in the fashion space and I'm more in the insurance space. So
right.
Two different, there's two different spaces with two different kind of approach. So definitely you're right.
This is true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Go ahead, Kenneth.
Yeah, but so you can always tell a confident. You get so we're using, and this goes both ways for men and goes for women, right? Like for example, like when there's certain women where if they see a guy, that's muscular but always wearing extra tight shirts, and then he's in a fancy car and he's just driving by and he wants all the attention. Certain women are just like, you're just whack. You know what I mean? And they just turn away because they're just turned off from your whole energy because you just think you're full of yourself, right? But when it comes down to like women, I mean, um, so it says a lot about confidence when you're a woman, and it's just my perspective, but it's just a lot about confidence if you're a woman. Like yes, you have like a, a bigger butt, you have a bigger bottom or a bigger top, but at the same time, it says a lot about someone who will wear clothing that does not uh, perpetrate that, right? So, for example, or a woman. So, if I ever went to a club, for example, and a woman had like a big bottom and a big top, but was wearing clothing that was more conservative and had no makeup on and the hair in one, confident woman because she's literally out and about in her own skin. She could be flashing, but she's not. It tells you a lot about the psychic of that particular woman. You know what I mean? So people read that now. Whether so, and Janique, for example, she's definitely fashionable, has her fashion line, but nothing about her social media page will give you the intention that she's trying to show these things. And you can always tell an insecure woman as well, clear as day, because they will play into whatever they can. So you don't have to play into the body parts or play into something that God gives you, because it can actually come across like more of an insecurity. Like me, I think a girl's insecure, like I think my personal take is I think that's kind of whack, to be honest. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Well, you do know that obviously there's women empowerment, and so much is put on the front line that confidence can also mean that you can wear whatever you want to wear. You can basically exude yourself in any shape, where any way, shape, or form, and still be confident. But at the same time, in the business world, it's not always translated to the same thing, right? So obviously, from your guys' perspective, how do you talk to the young people? Like, how do you communicate to some of the younger peers who may be looking up to you? How do you express to them? Sometimes if they don't have it, if they don't have the career right now, if they don't have the, whether it's the know-how, how do you communicate? How to build their confidence? What are some of the things that you will recommend for people to do to build their confidence, or what helped you, build your confidence and help you get where you are today? I'll jump to Lalita. I'm gonna have you jump on that first, and then we'll go from there.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, great. No, thank you for that. No, absolutely. I think for me, building confidence, it was quite a journey. I think every day it's still a work in progress. But for me, the first thing that I always share to some of the people that I speak to, because I'm a speaker in my daily life, and one of the things that I share to the younger students that I talk to is about going back to those positive affirmations. And it could seem so simple, but honestly, it starts there. For me, I had to really recognize the negative talk that I used to say to myself, all the negative things that came from society, from maybe from family, from friends, for all just the negative stuff that we kind of take in on a daily basis, especially being a young Black man, whether it's about my hair, whether it's about my skin, whether it's about my body, just all the negativity. So really reframing that in my mind, it started there. And I'm just picking those kind of things that I can say to myself on a daily basis and making a practice of it to really start reframing my mind around what it means for me to accept myself and love myself and just the way I am. So just starting there for me with those positive affirmations, starting with, hey, I am beautiful, I am strong, I'm capable of achieving my goals, but whatever it is for you, I think starting there can be a really great place to start.
Go ahead, Joel.
I love that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The daily disciplines that you work on every single day will help you understand who you are as a person. In terms of the question itself, the piece that I picked up on was, the young people and how do I give back or teach them. And for me, one of the things that helped me when I was a bit younger. It was associating myself with people who had things or who I aspired to be. And one of the ways I did that was when I was 19 years old. I remember I really didn't know what I wanted to do in college. Before I got that, I didn't know what I wanted to do before I got into the computer program. And one of the things that I did was I connected with a coach who was able to help me identify some of the things I wanted to do immediately. And what he helped me to do was he helped me start a basketball camp. Um, and I did I, we started a or he helped me start a basketball camp in the middle of Jane and Finch, and we had it for 2 years. Was able to invite the Toronto Raptors, and throughout that entire process of like doing that basketball camp, I gained so much confidence just by associating myself with a coach, somebody who was able to help me identify the immediate things that made me happy, that brought me some level of joy. And I'm still in touch with that person to this day. And that's that was an example for me at the time where it helped me understand who I was as a person a little bit more, what I like to do, what fuels me. And when I think about giving back, I have a couple of younger friends who are, early 20s, and they're in like the film industry and shooting movies and have aspirations to go to Hollywood, and they somewhat look up to me. I'm not, I wouldn't say they're like I'm their role model or anything, but they definitely would call me up, and we had conversation for a couple hours or so. And I just tell them, I tell them first of all, you have to. I tell them first of all, you have to continue to follow your dreams that you have, and you have to surround yourself by good people. And the people that they're around, sometimes I know they're not good, so I call them out and I tell them I see them doing certain things, and I call them out. I don't hold back. I tell them what you're doing here, what you're doing there. I see it. It's not. It might not be working for you. Think about it. Question yourself about it. And then I just put them in positions where I lead them to find the answer themselves. I don't tell them not to do it or tell them that's wrong for them, but I ask them, "Is that working for you? How is this helping you?" And then that brings the conversation around to helping them find the things that that fuels their confidence. So that's how I found my confidence and how I give back to younger people that I know of, to help them boost their confidence.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kiyoung.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So great point there, Joel. So for me, I try to find people that are in the industry or people that are doing great things. And I look up to those guys and I try to find my weak points, things that I could work on. And once I find my weak points and I started working on those things, then I'm able to build from there. That's how I'm able to build my confidence. And I also look for the strong because we don't always look, we will also want to, because the confidence come from your strength. So if you're able to identify your strength too, this is your strength, this is what you're good on, then once you find your weak point, the weak point you will kind of leverage the weak points with the strong points and then build the confidence from there. And basically that's what I do to build my confidence.
Good. Good. Unique.
Just speaking truth to yourself. I know for the younger crowd that I do speak to, um, once you know the truth, it's easier to recognize the lie, right? The lies that you were told in your childhood, especially being young and black. Maybe you were told you're too dark, you're too this, you're too that, right? There's so much that you were told why you can't achieve what you can't achieve, but it's all about knowing the truth so that you can identify the lie. And I know my confidence came from just knowing that there's one unique in the world. Like once I grasped that concept, I was like, wow, like I don't have to be anybody else. Like I can just be me, show up as myself every day, whatever space I'm in. So just really owning your talents, your gifts, whether it's popular at the time or not. Just really acting on that desire and those things that you want to do. Like, you know, a lot of times like things like art like may not be popular, or people just say like, you know, maybe get another career because that doesn't really make a lot of money. Like, you know, if art's your thing and that's what you want to do, own it, go for it, run in that direction. So just really being you, and owning what you have and just sticking to it. I believe that's where my confidence came from. Um, Especially being young and Black in business. And like I said, just that whole being even dark skin, that was a thing that, like, you know, you just it's just it's such a stigma. And yeah, just really owning myself and who I am. And I believe that's where my confidence came from. Now I'm like, I love being dark skinned and Black and young and in business. Like, I own all of it. And just like what you were saying, Kian, really knowing your weaknesses too. Like, so it's not a surprise when someone calls it out. It's like, okay, yeah, and I'm working on it, or I'm doing this to work on it. And really just accepting that you're human and you're not perfect as well. I think that's another part. Like, let me just speak for me, confidence wise. You know, being a bit of a perfectionist, I think that really helped my confidence as well. Just knowing that you are human. Like, it's okay that you messed up here. Let's move on and be better tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Appreciate you sharing that. Kenneth?
Um, yeah, confidence. God, I mean, I think that there's two prongs to that. You have confidence from a business perspective, then you have confidence in like you're more of like maybe a parent, how you look perspective, right? And the business angle of it, confidence. I mean, I'll just start with I mean, confidence comes from being good at something, right? You know what I mean? So the better you are at something, the more confident you get. Everyone in this on this call here, I'm sure, is very good. Even Janique has become more confident that you're a really great paralegal because now you've gone on so much different cases and you found success in what you've been doing. So a lot of confidence comes from just being good at something. So the real question is, you know, what are you doing to get good at something? And many people aren't putting in the work to get good at anything. So really, you're confident. So many people are not confident because you don't really. There's no reason to be confident because you're not good at something because you're not putting in the work. So when Will Smith says 99% of people are not willing to put no, only 1% of no, I'm only 1% of people are willing to put in the work. You know what I mean? From a stats perspective, we see it all the time. So for any young person, I will say get good. And getting good means that you're either going to dedicate yourself to whatever craft you're going to do and work very hard towards it, or find a mentor. I think the best thing anyone could do is find a mentor. It's a cheat code. You know what I mean? Finding a person that you know wants to be, like, you know, a realtor that's doing very well, fine. He's where you want to be, or she, perfect. Mentor under her wing. I've been spoiled like a brat in my career, right? My mentor is the president of the Toronto Real Estate Board right now. You know what I mean? Like, he's my guy, and he mentored me. He also has the largest C21, the third largest in the world. You know what I mean? The Remax Hallmark that I'm with right now, my mentor Steve and Sam, is the number one Remax Hallmark in the globe, and they sat and recruited me. So I've always attached to people that were 10 times smarter and less cheated, and just absorbed their knowledge. So I would say to any young person, get confident, get a mentor. Then when you get the mentor, listen, do what he says, and work very hard, and then your confidence will just come.
Beautiful, beautiful. And you know what I'm hearing from each one of you is that, you know, there's an element of sacrifice that involved. You have to put in the work. You have to put in the time, right? It's not going to come easy, right? So these are all parts of the daily things that you have to, you know, obviously go through to get where you want to go. Is that you have to put in the time. You have to build connections, build connection with people. Like Kenneth said, people who are smarter than you, right? And for me personally, what I would say also, in addition to everyone else's comment, there's a spiritual element that goes into all of this as well, right? Yeah, the cliche thing is to believe in God, and obviously those are some of the things that people might say, but there's a real deep divine spiritual thing in this whole entire process, whether it's prayer, whether it's self-meditation, whether it's finding peace within yourself, to really understand who you are as a person, right? Understand you have weaknesses, but you have this beautiful gift that God has blessed you with, and you take ownership of that, right? And you cultivate that, and you find, whether it's mentor, or find time really to really, dig deeper into what that gift is all about, and refine it to the point where it becomes a blessing to other people in your life, or people in your circle, right? So when I listen to various speakers, who had an impact on our generation, like Miles Monroe, for example, a great man of God, had some really profound thing to say. You can tell the difference between him and, let's say, a Grant Cardone, for example. There's a levels to certain things, and you can hear there's a certain level of wisdom, right, that hits your soul, right? Because there's a deeper spiritual aspect to a lot of the things that we deal with on a physical realm, so to speak. But then when you go into the spiritual part, then it's a whole different ball game. That's when you might say you have a spiritual advisor, you may have a pastor, or you go to church, or you read the Bible. These are an extra layer that comes along with building the confidence, right? Is knowing that you were created for a purpose, and there's a bigger purpose for you, for why you're here, why you created. So in closing, I just want to just ask each and every one of you, right? What type of um, you know what type of advice, or what, not advice, but what would you like to see our community do more of, right? To be better at, whether it's finance, whether it's making better decisions with our lives. What would be some things that you would recommend to younger people, or people who will be listening to this broadcast? What would you advise them to do as we lead into 2023? What are some, things that you would like to, give them as an advice, or what are some things that we can do to help, better ourselves from a self growth perspective?
Excellent. I guess I'll go ahead and just start that off. I'll quick, short, and sweet. I think that that's a great question, and one of the things that comes to mind in terms of our community, and one thing I'd love to see for the young people to take into 2023, it would be collaboration, more collaboration across all the boards. Finding people, and you're young, you can find your friends who have the same type of goals, like mindset. Collaborate on something, come together and try to build something. I feel like it's all too often that I think there's a stigma within our community that people within our community can't work together. I believe that that's not true. There's multiple examples all across the board. So just more of those examples come to the forefront, and just more of that collaboration, seeking out community, and seeking out to serve within community as well. And that's what I'll say.
Just to piggyback off of that, Lolita, I really love that. You stole the words right out of my mouth. The collaboration piece. I actually spent 5 years living in the States, and the culture is very different from there and here. A lot of the Black community does work together there compared to the GTA space. And I can say that because I lived in both places, and not that it doesn't exist. I agree, it does exist. But I would love to see more collaboration. I would love to see people just owning their lane again, and not being afraid of launching your product. Like, who cares if Timothy has the same product as you? Yours is yours. Own that lane, and just be great at it, and do that, and do it confidently. Yeah, that's what I would say. Just collaboration, and whatever it is that your gift is. Like, Jesse, you said it so well. Like, we all have our own giftings and things that we can offer to people in this earth realm. Like, do that. Build on that, exude that every day. Don't try to do anything else but what is within you already.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Who's next?
Oh, you're on mute, Kayan.
Thank you. Great question, Jesse. Because I'm in the financial space, I would say financial literacy. Like, I want to see more financial literacy in young folks, young
Yes.
folks becoming adults. Because a lot of us, we're not taught financial literacy in schools. And we grow up thinking we can do all this, we can do all that. And we buy this, we buy that. And then before you know it, we run ourselves into debt. So if we can get taught financial literacy from home, at school, and we just take that with us into adulthood, that makes so much difference in our society. So financial literacy into 2023.
Beautiful.
Love it. You know, Lalita and Janique, I'm on the same page as you guys as well too in terms of the collaboration piece. What I was thinking about in that realm of things is the passive aggressiveness that we see a lot of, um, that we see a lot in the GTA Ontario space, maybe even Canada. Like a lot, I find a lot of a lot of young adults who either are starting a business or want to start a business. They're very passive aggressive about it. They're not really like, um, they're not aggressive, owning their space and saying this is just what I do. And I say that because, and I can say that confidently because I've been in there, been there myself too. And the more I collaborate and I work with other people in business, and I look at the business space, I realize that one of the biggest lessons that I've learned is that you have to just go all out. Time is not promised to nobody. What you're doing, if you want to do it, if you love what you're doing, just do it. Go ahead. Who cares what anyone thinks about it? Just go ahead and do it,
Mhm.
and you'll learn. The quicker you do it, the faster you'll learn, right? Um, it doesn't make sense sitting on the middle of the fence and then making a decision, because that decision you make later on could be the worst decision. You sat on the fence the whole time. So just go do it. So I would love to see more people, especially your younger people, be more aggressive. Of course, collaborative with each other, but be more aggressive in terms of what it is that they want to do. Just go all out, give it 100%, and see what happens. Who knows? But the passive aggressiveness, being in the middle, not really sure, dropping off, no time for that. Just go all out. So I would definitely want to see more young people just get aggressive with what they want to do, and of course working together.
I think Jesse's gone.
I'm here. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, great comments. Yeah, so like just like my personal my personal take. I just think that God's not in the equation at all nowadays. So I think first and foremost, that's a massive problem before we go anywhere. I think God needs to be input. I think you nailed it on the head, Jesse, when you were talking about the spiritual component. That to me definitely comes first. So I think I'd like to see more people reading the Bible, going to church, getting baptized, following Jesus, and then think we'll all be okay from there. But until then, I think we're all screwed. Yeah. that's my take, but no, but on a serious note, like obviously, like me, like I'm an absolute guy, but I have scriptures all across my IG page. I definitely have lost clients. I've sent people to my page as clients. They check me out, and I talk to them bold face for like an hour, then they just ghost me after. It's like, okay, I guess they didn't like my IG page. But the idea is, I think that there is a massive spiritual component. Of course, I have clients that are all from different backgrounds. I never go in there and say, but I know there is definitely a spiritual component in general. If you read the first book of the Bible, the Torah and the Quran, it's the same book. So at least from a spiritualness of God. So I think that is not in the equation at all. And I think until that is there, they're always going to be struggling with anything else. You know what I mean? A child of God, a woman of God, a man of God should not be struggling with as much things. But I think there's a spiritual component. So I think that is what I'd want to see all the young kids doing.
100%. The foundation of everything. Agreed.
Beautiful, beautiful, and obviously, that is something we can dive into on another episode of Open for Discussion. But definitely, the spiritual component, as you know, is huge. Even
topic.
Even the average man down the street would tell you there's something spiritual about what he does and why he's here, and everyone have some type of spirituality in their business or something. So that is universal. So with that said, this is a great discussion. This is a great opportunity once again for all of us to really have this discussion in the open. A lot of times we have it behind closed doors with close friends and family, but it's time as we enter into 2023 to really, like Latoya said, be in a collaborative space, right, where we can jump in these type of platform and have this conversation in the open. It doesn't always, revolve around real estate or insurance or law, but these are all issues we deal with regardless of the profession that we're in. And we really want to use this platform to educate, inform, and to inspire, the next generation, because they're the ones looking up at us. They're the ones that are going to come to us asking for advice. And if they see these type of programming, at least it helps balance the playing field when it comes to some of the things they're already seeing online. So, hopefully we can revisit this conversation again in a deeper, a deeper sense, so to speak. We touch on spirituality, and I think we all can kind of go there. I know I came from a very spiritual background myself, and I can definitely go deep into that topic, but definitely from a just more so overall arching conversation around confidence. We really had our own to share. We had our own experience to share, and I hope folks are able to take something from this conversation and apply it to your life. And as we enter 2023, we're gonna really get deeper into other topics as well. So with that said, Lily, so you just want to just close us off here, and I'm gonna just let you lead things from here.
Absolutely. Great. It's been a great discussion. Thank you all for being in this virtual space with us, getting to learn from you, getting to hear from you. But it's just also very inspiring to see you all as women, men of color within your spaces and just, doing what you have to do and just taking over. So I absolutely love to see that. It's always inspiring, and it's just been a great discussion. So thank you all for being here, and hopefully you'll join us for the next one sometime in the future. So again, thank you all for being here.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.